Hey everybody, Texas Stroker here, Lance's Performance Shop at Mopars.com. Got a beautiful July day, a very special day for me. This is a 25-year anniversary, or as I like to call it, Charge-iversary. And one of the ways I celebrated when the Mac guy swung by Wednesday, which was technically the date, you kind of have time across spans, right? So if you originally had the 17th of the month, it'll fall different days, right? Saturdays, so on and so forth. So it all tied in beautifully. And basically what had happened, there was an item, I don't think it was in the flyer. It might have been like a limited time deal. Maybe it is in the flyer. But anyway, it was something that I wanted, and he didn't have it in my color. I told him, hey, go ahead and order it, and then lo and behold, he got it really fast this time, which is kind of nice, and we're going to showcase that. But since I was on the truck, I'd seen these staring at me, and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to try it. And it is Mac Tools MP 185. I think it was like $11, $10, $12, somewhere in that range. Probably a bit high for what it is. I was hoping it would be pretty good. But again, it was kind of for a special deal, so this is what it is. And I had every intention, of course, it's just on like a counter display on the truck, and you can pick your colors. There's red, green, and orange. I had every intention of getting the specs off of their website. MP 185 does not come up as anything. Similarly, I cannot find a magnetic pickup tool that is exactly like this on Mac. So what is it? What does it do? Who knows? We're gonna try to figure it out. So right there again, your eyes don't deceive you. It's MP 185. Nice number there. Good year, 1985. I think Derek would agree with me, maybe a couple of others. What's interesting on this one, the pin clip might be inverted compared to how some of you would want it, but it actually makes sense. A lot of the others, they do kind of vary, which is strange. So first conversation point where you can chime in. This makes sense, right? Pocket clip. Think your front shirt or your jeans. You're going to have the magnets sticking up, right? Do you like it that way, or would you prefer that this be flipped and you have the magnet sticking down? Now in your shirt pocket, you're probably not going to catch on anything. It's probably going to be isolated by this cap from any pocket screwdrivers or pry bars. In your jeans, it's a different story, especially if you got keys, change, anything metallic, right? But it almost seems like it would make sense to invert it. Nonetheless, easy to swap it around. You can see it does kind of push this out. This is very, very cushiony. A lot of these are exactly the same the way they feel, regardless of color, including if they're just plain Jane black. But it does have the clip, so again, some of you may hate the clip, don't want it. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, it was in part his special day, and two, he's got red and green. And you're thinking like, okay, well that doesn't matter. Well, I'm thinking of work, and there is always on the air conditioning unit supposed to be, in this one certain section of the shop, a magnet, and it's been there for years. And it's basically whenever you have to drill in a panel, it's a magnet. It doesn't have the power cap. It's not a telescoping one. It's just a flexible, old school style. And what you do with it is you run it down and you pick up your shavings. Way easier than trying to sweep, and most of the time you don't have a broom that small anyway. Depends on the panel housing, of course, but sometimes the components are just jam-packed, and really a shop vac would be way better, but we use a magnet. And magnets are cheaper than shop vacs and don't require as much maintenance. And when it's not there, I can almost always find it in another certain spot, and it's not in either spot. I don't know where it is. I don't know if it got thrown away. I don't know if somebody took it home. Who knows? It could be in a metal scrap bin for all I know. And what I was kind of thinking is like, okay, you know, if I buy this and it's good, I can then come in and I can get the red one and the green one and put them in different sections. I'm not sure that's going to be necessary because I don't know that this is going to be like anything special, but we're going to pretend it is. So first thing first, you're not going to be able to see, but I have this sucker fully extended, right? So we've got the pin with this first section. You've got the second section to my thumb, third section, fourth section, fifth section, and the final section with the magnet. The magnet does have the power cap, right? So if I come in, we'll get the Black Widow in part because I don't see the Stanley, ironically. Those two just seem to interchange across the shop. We got that magnetized, and I'm going to call this 25 and a half. Now granted, you know, there's that little plastic dip. You know how they do, that extra extremity. Think of it 25, 26 inches, somewhere in that range. Again, this could possibly be skewed a smidge, but if you want to call it a 2-footer, you could absolutely do that. And just know you've got that extra inch or so to play around. Now, we will come in. We have a piece of threaded rod I've cut. No issues. You can see it's holding it beautifully. I'm going to go ahead and compact this thing just so it's easier to keep in the view of the camera. No issues. Pretty strong hold. If we come in now, we'll get a, I don't have a Mac keychain, my apologies. So we can pick up Koken, we're home free there. Sweet little channel lock with the acetate handle, not an issue. I want to say, based on everything I've ever seen with magnets of this size, unless it's just extremely strong, which would probably cost significantly more than the $10 to $12 range, this is probably 2.5 pounds. That's what I would want to say. Probably the heaviest thing here would be this coupling. No issue whatsoever. Let's see here. We'll grab a pair of proto pliers. Kind of a, it's more of like a reddy orange. We'll call it orange. Okay. So it does actually, wow. I was not expecting, not that these are heavy now that I hold them, but you know, you'd think, whoa, hey, you know, batting out of its league there, right? So I think it's going to be decent. Could I get this same thing for less money? I sure could, and it wouldn't say Mac. That said, it's kind of hard to find good ones that have your color, if that's important to you. This one right here is, might be brand new, really. It's probably been, no, it's used a few times, but it's Catspaw. It's a bit bigger. You can all day long probably find these for the same price or less, depending on where you're shopping. And if we just go max extension with a Mac, and max extension with the cat's paw, I've got them end to end. You'll just have to take my word for it. That much of a difference. This head is also bigger, and you're like, if you can get these for the same price, you can go find my videos where I brought this in. You say, why would you ever buy this one? Well, that's bigger. You're like, yeah, and that's better, buddy. Bigger magnet, more pickup power. What could be any better than that? This, in certain situations, like tight confines, example, you know, the panel, you know, if you're sitting over here in a giant panel, you know, oh, you got all the space in the world, but you cramp everything down in a small housing, and all of a sudden, where that magnet was really nice and we get a ton of shavings, you can't slide it through, right? So this one comes into play. Same thing if you're trying to pick up a bolt, and there are times you will want a magnet slightly smaller than this. I've never seen, I think there's a size down from this one. I don't know that I've seen anything smaller than that. The percentage of increase that you see between the Mayhew and the Mac, there and there, there's just a size or so under. You know, in fact, it's always hard with magnets, of course, to do this. I can't, there we go. That is your difference, right? I think that, like I said, take approximately that same ratio and apply it down. I do think you can get a magnet that size, and of course there's tons way bigger. The Mayhew here, same thing pretty much. I don't think we're gonna have any issues or real differences there. But if you're on the truck and you need one, they're there. If you just prefer the colors, I will tell you, a lot of mom and pop stores have these, the displays, but they might get red and black, or they might do whatever their colors are, you know, type of thing. Or they years ago bought all the colors and it took them an eternity to sell the orange, so they never buy it, right? You can kind of custom tailor those or just get refills. Keep that in mind. It might be a color thing. Maybe orange is huge. Maybe you're like in Harley Davidson country, right? And nobody's buying the green. You might have trouble getting green or blue. But the colors are out there. Just real quick, a fan-frickin-tastic magnets, which oftentimes is American made. I can't remember if this one is or not. It's Ullman. They very well could be the OEM behind these. They could be Taiwanese. I don't know, because again, I can't find jack on that. This is ridiculous. The HT2. But there's that little guy. Again, if anyone knows anything on this, country of origin, the exact specs or anything, feel free to chime in. If you're frequenting the Mack truck and you're like, dude, You know, I remember the 185s. I haven't seen one of those since the late 90s. You know, maybe you just had them sitting around, can't sell them. Who knows? You know, this is usually something people get thrown in or something, but we'll see. Ultimately, that's staying here. It's going to go on the U.S. General cart and should come in quite handy. So you're thinking like, okay, well, that's cool, but we don't really care about the magnet. We want to see the big ticket item that you had the guy order that was on sale. Usual price, I believe, on the Mack truck of $160, $159.99 if you want to be technical. It was on flyer promotion or sale promotion, whichever it was, for $119, $40 off. Not a huge deal, not groundbreaking. And we pulled the trigger because I really wanted to try them. And I will tell you right now, I know the OEM. The OEM is Mayhew, and if you're thinking like, oh, I think I know where this is going, you're probably correct. Mayhew makes great stuff. I love it. I've got a ton of it. And the only real complaint I have, which you wouldn't really even have if you didn't have anything to compare it to, is the handle. And it's not that Mayhew's handle is bad, it's just that I really, really like the Mack handle a lot better. It's kind of a case in point. I could grab these two drivers here. I always forget that this is a bit holder. We got a VHA and we've got a VHA, right? If this was their run-of-their-mill entry level, okay, the soft finish, red and white, and it was $7 for this number 2 Phillips, and they still had the 3K line, or they had the soft finish available in your choice of colors, red was their default, they produced it, it's what the company colors are, it's what they're known for, they sell, 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 but me and some other idiots talk them into doing limited color runs. I can get that for $7. If they want to charge me $9.99 to get blue or green or orange or pink or yellow or chartreuse, whatever, guess what? I'll spend the extra $2.99. Now, if this was $7 and then the equivalent in blue was, you know, like $112, I'm like, oh man, you know, I really do like that and I prefer it, but that's an insane price increase, guys. I'm gonna wait until you have to put them on clearance or something because no one's gonna pay that. And, it's that type of a thing, right? So that's the beauty of the tool trucks, is in addition to subtle changes, you know, maybe it's just an angle adjustment, maybe it's the handle material, maybe it's just a color, you've got a couple more options. Now what I'm going to do is turn around, we're going to throw it down. I'll tell you, if you are new here, I use timestamps. I do that for your convenience. I also link back to the tools when possible, which I'll do with this item, can't do it with that item. But this is Mack Tools CST SS4, and in this particular case, you have an option with a G and an option with an O. I'll give you a hint, the CST SS4 is going to be red, the G is green, and the O, which is what is in my hand, is orange. And this is what we've got. So, what this is, according by Mack's description, a 4-piece heavy-duty carbon scraper set. And you're thinking like, 119? Some of you are like, well, that's a pretty good deal. Some of you are like, good Lord, that's expensive. And again, you got to think, if I screw this thing up, if I whack, these are here for a reason. I kind of want to play with them at the house, and I really like the orange. And again, it was a special day for me. The anniversary of getting a car. I'm single. I'm happy. That's a big deal to me, and I celebrate. Right? I can do what I want to do. So this is something I'd always wanted to try, including even from Mayhew. Now, a sad story. I have a similar product to this, the Mayhew Pry Driver. I want to say that's what Mayhew dubbed theirs. They're strikable screwdrivers, basically. And they're sort of designed for demo. Mayhew, in fact, may call them demo drivers. There's different vernaculars across everyone that has the Mayhew product rebranded. Those have been really good. There was a couple things. The video corrupted. It was a deal. I think I had to take a call or something in like the first half where we introduced it, had all the specs, inspect them by hand. Oh, yeah, gone. And then I have like the back end of the video after the call. So hence you've never seen it. And those are also at work. But they've been pretty good to me. It came in a case just like this, but with only 3 drivers. I still don't know what the 4th slot would be for. But it is what it is. Those are now available from Mack and Mayhew. I'm sorry, Mack and Matco, I should say. Matco is going to have a couple more colors if you want to go that route. If there's a certain color you want, you prefer, and you're willing to spend the extra coin, pull the trigger. If not, go with Mayhew. I can get really good deals on Mayhew. I could get this equivalent with Mayhew's red dominant. It's a nice handle, just I really can't understate how much I prefer the matte grip. Okay. And it's a situation where I can get those for like borderline 60, maybe 55, maybe 65, somewhere in that range. If you know where to go, if you look around, you can find that deal. Now, that said, you're typically going to see them in the 65 to 85 range. For example, Amazon, your jungle site everyone loves to link to, you can get that Mayhew set and you're going to spend probably around $75, right? Maybe you get screwed, maybe you catch a deal. We'll ballpark it out to 75, 79, somewhere in there. So we're essentially paying an extra $40, which again, yeah, that's significant when you consider that's like half of another set. But at the same time, I love this grip, I love this color. I can't get orange, I can't get green, I can only get red from Mayhew, which is great if I'm at work. It'd be great if red's your favorite color or you think it looks good or something. But this is here in orange. It's here with a handle style that I prefer. And like I said, special day, it was on promo. The $159, I'm not gonna lie, that's like double, a little more than double if you find the right deal. That's kind of crazy, but the $40 off does help. Yes, you're still paying a good bit more. I'm in good with the matte guy. I don't know what I would do to ruin one of these. Maybe I get a lemon. Maybe, I don't know. We're scraping off like crud tons of silicone and I strike one and the handle cracks. I'm fully confident. I can text the matte guy and be like, hey, here's a picture. This is what happened. Get me one. And he'll have it. You know, it might not be the next Wednesday, it might be 2 weeks or something, but it's going to come to me, right? Fully confident Mayhew would do that, right? Same thing, great warranty. Just not maybe as convenient or timely for me. But yeah, it was something I was willing to spend a little extra for, right? Now, I wish that the Mayhews were 75 and the Macs were like 99. And then you could be like, yeah, you know, like, I get it, man. Green, orange, blue, purple, whatever color your high-vis people are out there. You can kind of justify that. The 40 is kind of like, you know. But I decided to do it because, again, it's not just the color for me. I genuinely love this handle. And it's mainly my same complaint with the Pro Grips and even the Dominators. If your hands are wet or sweaty, which, spoiler alert, it's been very hot and humid, and I deal with that constantly, this is just much nicer, and I really, really do like it. I'm not going to lie, to get a green set for the work cart, but that's also something I kind of feel like, you know, maybe work could provide type of a deal. So, I tried to swing the red set, and it was kind of like, no, we're not going to do that, but I'm hoping if I open these things up and they turn out to be really good, we'll just maybe then come in and trial it. The other thing you got to realize is if I do like these, if I'm impressed by them here at the house, I can turn around and I can go and absolutely 100% find a deal on the Mayhew ones with a handle I'm familiar with. It's really not as bad as I make it. It's just, this is really good. I haven't held everything in the world, but for me, I just really, really, really like this handle. So I can absolutely, though, get the Mayhews and go to town. It's mainly just to clean parts at work. I wouldn't lie. There's nothing fancier or special, or I don't have like any like, oh, hey, I've got a great idea to use these. And no, it's 100% it would be to clean parts. So, there's the pliers I was looking for. Had them sitting down in a chair there. I should probably stop this, and I think I will, just so I don't waste your time. Some staples. I'm trying to preserve this lid. 1 second. Man, that was more of a pain than I expected. Hero of the day. I use this thing all the time for staples. It's the Wera chip lifter. And, yeah, I kind of bought that to be an inside tool, and it's just stayed out here because it's pretty freaking handy. And quite honestly, I don't build computers as often as I do stuff in the shop related to automotive things. So there you go. That said, for the OCD people, I do apologize. It drove me nuts too. Are you ready? With a glorious realignment, everything is now centered correctly. So, in my hand, I've got this. We're going to read it. You're going to look at the eye candy there. And what you have is a heavy-duty, half-inch, 3/4, 1 inch, and 1 1/2 inch carbon scraper. Now, the beautiful thing here, if you're like, man, this guy is raving about these handles, I kind of want to try one. And you're like, 119 was a pretty good deal. Maybe when this video drops, they're back up to 160. You spurn that. I totally get it. That's why I didn't buy these sooner. The pry bars could be the same way, which I will tell you, I don't think you can go wrong with one of those. But again, if you know they're Mayhew, it's kind of hard to justify, right? With these, you got to ask yourself, what are you doing? Okay, if you're going to buy this because you're going to rebuild the small block in your Bel Air, okay, you probably are never going to need the 1.5 inch. You also may not even need the 1 inch. The 1/2 or the 3/4 could be very useful. And you think like, oh, that thing's so tiny over here, that little 1/2 inch one. Well, here's the thing. You got to think about it. What surfaces are you going to be scraping, right? You're coming in, you got valve covers, you got an intake manifold, you got the cylinder heads, you got water pump, timing cover, oil pan. There's only so many surfaces that are sealed with gaskets, or in some cases of poor machining and shoddy workmanship, crud tons of silicone, gasket maker, years and years of who knows what. All right, so you could absolutely come in and, man, I'm trying to decide. If you had something, or maybe you're like cleaning big parts, maybe it's the deck of a mower. Okay, you got to think outside the box sometimes, right? Not everything's in an engine bay. Deck of a mower. Maybe you have a welding table and you clean slag, or you chip stuff off. Maybe it's you're taking a rusty trailer or a pitted frame or something, undercoating on a vehicle, scraping paint. Anything you can think of, these could potentially be handy for. Ask yourself, which size would I use the most, right? And it's going to vary person to person, hobby to hobby. If you're building pinball machines, you have I guess you could actually need that. But let's just say it's something delicate and tiny. Don't buy these, okay? Focus on these two, or the smaller size. If you're only doing super, super massive, like industrial tracks or something, would you ever have a cavity that small? Or is it like everything's flat and uniform and you want to get as much gone as you can? Go this route. Also, if you're scraping a lot, you've probably got really good hand scrapers. These would fill the void there between, say, going by hand and using an air hammer. Air hammer's great, but an air hammer also makes a massive mess because it works much faster than we can, scrape or hit a hammer, right? So the selling points past the size range that's about it. They're really nothing. So yeah, we don't need that anymore. But what I'm getting at, these are beefcakes, I'll tell you. What I want to convey, though, is you don't have to buy this set. Like, if you're like, man, he really does seem to like these handles, he's justified it several times, I believe him, I kind of want to try one. And you're like, maybe you like red, maybe you like green, maybe you're an orange person, you're like, hey, that is a nice orange. You don't have to get the set. You don't have to buy a massive pry bar set. You can get one at a time. That's the beauty. This is something I stress all the time, like with Harbor Freight. There's a big reason I don't have an Icon #2 Phillips that we showcased. I don't want to buy a set of them, right? If I could get one individually, okay, and I'm like, hey, this is kind of nice and it feels good in hand, guess what I would do then? I would consider buying more or getting a set and having the backup. This can be the same way for you. If you buy this because you're like, you know what, I don't have anything that small, and I had an instance last weekend where I would have used the snot out of this thing. Grab this, use it on your project, and then if you're like, man, this is fantastic, you can do one of two things. You can be like, I'm going to commit to the max because I love the color and the handle. Or if you're like, oh, that handle's okay, but I don't think I would complain for a massive savings to just get the Mayhews. Then go buy the Mayhews, which you can also get individually. Will you get the tray as that direction? No, but some people are just going to get the set and chuck the tray anyway, right? So this is what we've got. These, like I said, quite heavy. It looks like they're all going to have square stock extending from the handle. We transition into the scraper, and I will tell you that is an edge, a very good edge. I know because I kind of grazed it when we were spinning that other one around. Each one of these is going to have a standalone part number for you. And again, the O at the end, the way Mac does things, that's indicative of orange. If you want this in green, you would put a G. If you just red is your color, you don't have to do anything, just omit the consonant at the end for the color, right? Very simple stuff. This is why these are special. It's not like, man, that's a ton of money for scrapers. I would never buy these if these were scrapers for $119. It's a Strikable scraper, and knowing that it's the OEM of Mayhew, I have full faith in them. I've seen these from Mayhew for years. I'm talking years on Summit and stuff, and I always thought, man, I should buy those, you know, and I've never done it. But this is the same cap that I'm going to have on the pry bars, and I can tell you, they have been beating the ever-living snot out of the work set, and they are actually holding up beautifully. Surprisingly, the black finish, you know, yeah, there's shiny spots here and there, but like I figured that crud would just be gone. Whatever they did to it, I don't know if it's phosphate, no clue. I'm not gonna, you can speculate, some of you probably know, but it actually holds up too. So the big thing for me is just the feel of this in hand. I cannot stress that enough. That is our 1/2-inch scraper. This is going to be the 3/4. If you're interested in the part numbers, there you go. Again, right there where safety goggles, you do have USA. Again, striking cap on all of these. Just everything you've seen me talk about the pry bar set, apply here. The 3/4, I think, for most people would be a very happy medium. The 1/2 might be too small for some people. As you can see, these were well oiled. But the 1-inch might be too big. If I had to just generalize, what do you want to try first? Be it Mac, Matco, Mayhew, whatever. Again, I don't make a dime regardless of what you do. I might advise the 3/4 just as a general guideline. That said, you'll know better what you're doing or what you plan to do and just buy accordingly. So right here you've got the 1-inch. That is really well oiled on that one. But that right there is going to be your part number. Again, the orange online looks kind of pale. It's actually a little darker than that. That's one of the big reasons I'm a fan of it. The green is more of a sublime, right? Don't think Stavilla, PB Swiss, SK, think alpha, sublime, lemon, lime combined, right? The orange isn't like super dark, but it's pretty nice. Quick color comparison here for you. We got the cat's paw. Maybe if you have one of these. Very, very similar. The camera's kind of looking down, not getting the best light on there. PB Swiss. Try not to get the oil on that guy. You can see there. And it's just not accurate because of the lighting. I'm sorry. But that's what I got. Maybe these were just on the flyer. They're either a flyer or the 2-week deal. I cannot remember. I do apologize. But I know they're usually currently $159. By way of promotion, they were $119. Guy had no issues. I think it was only orange, actually. And it said limited stock. That was the catch. It was limited stock, which that translates to if I take time to call Mac during a lunch hour. If I get a lunch hour, they're going to say they're sold out, even though it doesn't say that online. I know the drill. All right. And he said he had green and red, and he'd sell them to me for the flyer price, right? So it's obviously not a huge deal. That tells you something, you know. It's not like, ooh, hey, you know, this is a deal of a lifetime, but fair, I think, for what you're getting. Again, if these intrigue you, if you think, hey, I've had some Strikable scrapers that suck, I've nearly been hurt by some, I've been cut by some, whatever the case may be, if you're looking for something quality, give Mayhew a shot. I totally get not wanting to bring in Mac, maybe. If you do, again, you don't have to start with a set. That's the beauty of professional stuff, right? This is same thing with Right. If you want to try Right Grip 2.0, you can go buy your most used wrench or the one that you need a backup of, right? You don't have to buy a 15-piece set. You can just get them individually. Same thing, you just wear out your 1/2 and 9/16 impact sockets, and you're like, man, I know I get these replaced for free, but I really wish I didn't have to replace them for free so frequently. You can buy one. You can get 1/2 and 9/16. You can do a full set. You can do partial. You could pick and choose 5 sockets from a 15 socket span. Okay. That's the same thing here, and it's not just Mac, it's also Mayhew. So keep that in mind if you want to cross-reference these, feel free. Where you can come in and chime in and help out is, I know many of you probably have these. As soon as these came out on the trucks, you picked them up. Mac, Matco, doesn't matter. Mayhew's the OEM. How are they holding up? What are you comparing them to? How long have you had them? Have there been any issues? Similarly, if you've got the Mayhews, what are your thoughts on them? Maybe as some of you have both, right? Which handle do you like better? Just as I very strongly prefer this handle, some of you may hate this handle and prefer the Mayhew default handle, right? Some of you might say they're both garbage compared to the Matco. Some of you say, oh, they're all pretty good, but Matco gives me this color. Whatever it is, if you've got first-hand feedback, make sure to share it. That's the ultimate goal here, is just to help people out. But for me, I enjoy it, jumping in blindly. You know, I have a rough idea what to expect in some cases like this. This is going to be awesome, and I'm going to get a lot of use out of it. Think, if you will, if you ever rob like differentials, you know, like Mopar land over here, if you're getting an 8 3/4 or a Dana 60, whichever you find first for a good deal, because you know you're going to grenade the 7 1/4 that was originally behind your slant 6 that now has a 440 between the fenders. Think of all that silicone, right? On a Dana anyway, 8 3/4. It's not as often because they're up front, but you know, people do crazy things. Depends who had it, what the issues were. Just think of that. You know, like you come in here with a 3/4 or the 1 inch, chisel that stuff off. It's awesome. If you think like, I've always gotten by with hand, yeah, hand is great. I do that too, obviously here at the house, but the Strikable is huge. Undercoating. If any Mopar people out there, if you ever take your own undercoating off, maybe you're using a needle scaler. Maybe you would love to use a needle scaler, but you've done it before and you swore it off because of the absolute pig pen. It doesn't just turn your shop into a pigsty like in the immediate area. That goes everywhere, okay, including you. If you've never experienced the joys of needle scaling. Same thing, air hammer, you're like, oh, just freaking use my air hammer. Yeah, same concept. This will achieve that much slower, but also more controlled. I can't stress that enough, right? Sometimes you don't need, you know, the Thor's hammer to do what you're trying to do. You can get by hand, but with a little extra effort by way of the striking cap, right? So I can't tell you anything about these aside from they seem very good. I'm content with the deal. I mean, 120 bucks. Yeah, I know I could get the Mayhews, which is what these are, for realistically, I could probably if I was patient, land them for 60 to 65, no issues. That is a significant savings, but do I like the orange better? Yes. Would I pay an extra $60 because they're orange instead of red? No. But when you combine the handle and the color preference, it's still kind of crazy, but I just like them, and I'm going to leave it at that. So, plus, again, now that I'm kind of set up with a Mac guy, that does help a little bit. Again, it's probably a deal. If I did break one of these this weekend, I'm sure I can text him, and Wednesday he'll tear a set down for me, get one coming, whatever. And again, I want to stress, you can totally do that with Mayhew too. So if you've never used a Mayhew handle, and you're like, oh, I don't know what to expect, get one. And, you know, it's probably going to be just fine. Like I said, they are not bad. It's just, for me, this is like almost perfect, right? Like that's the differential here, okay? If you love Wera's handle, right, and you really, really, really like PB Swiss's tips, and you've always wanted to combine those two, it's kind of that type of a deal, right? So for me, the handle and the color is the main sway. Yes, it'll be nice if I can get these like quickly, locally type of thing by way of the truck, but I can get by waiting on Mayhew to ship one too. That's what sold me. And again, Mayhew, in fact, as the OEM, is the biggest sell because I'm confident it's going to be good. But the cool thing here, there's 4 of them, and it fills up the tray and doesn't drive me nuts every time I see this slot empty. But with that said, man, the sun is going down. I better get my door down because that means mosquitoes will be coming in, and I don't want to deal with that. So, again, first-hand feedback, always appreciated. Let me know your thoughts on this. With that said, you know the drill. LoneStarMopars.com is the website. You can find us Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all three at Lone Star Mopars. If you have not subscribed, I encourage you to do so. I've got some pliers I used to pull staples out of this thing that I've made videos on quite some time ago that I'd love to release at the 10K mark, and yes, that means they're snap-on. So that's our immediate goal. It's 10K. It's been a long time coming. But I've got everything ready to go when we make it there, and you can help. I know a ton of people watch without subscribing. If that's you, consider doing it, because just help a guy out. You can. If we get to 10K, you want to delete your script. Do you do that? I don't care, because I'm not trying to set those goals again, because I've just like screwed you out of cool videos, basically. That said, though, I'll quit rambling. If you haven't subscribed, though, I do encourage you to do so. If you like the video, leave a like, leave a comment. That's always appreciated, especially first-hand feedback. If you do all that, you ring the bell, you jump your charger on the Chargerversary here across the creek, wielding your Mac Orange carbon scraper. YouTube just might notify you. We've got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, thanks again for watching. Most importantly, I hope I catch you back here for more from the shop.